Hello everyone, it's Raza Von Werder from the University of Mother God Church. Now I'm talking about who is God, what is God, where is God. So, I'm going to open this up by saying, no one absolutely knows exactly who and what God is in the absolute objective sense. We know God subjectively. We know God in according to our limitation. And the furthest that we can go to understand and know God is within our brain in the highest center called the Sahasrara. God lives within our mind brain, the energy of God, the presence of God, and all the virtues of God, the power of God. Everything that is of God lives within us. We know the qualities of God. God is infinite. God created the infinite universe. So we know certain things about God, like God is power, God is love, God is mercy, God is justice, God is perfection. God knows all, sees all, can do all things. What am I made for? To know, love, and serve God, and to be with God, happy in eternity. So we know certain things about God. And anything that is the opposite of God, which is against love, then we know God by the opposites. There's God in the positive and the goodness, and there's the opposite is the lack of God, the loss of God, the evil, sin, vice, revenge is against God. Bitterness is against God. Rage is, unjust rage, hate is against God. You're supposed to hate sin, though. You're supposed to hate sin. You're supposed to hate the devil. But you don't hate people. You don't hate people because they sinned. You have to be non-judgmental. You personally can't judge. No matter how sinful people are, you can't judge them. I know it's a temptation. I know we all want to. I'm always talking about, the evils of war and the evils of people who make war and the evils of the old men who send young men to die, to kill and be killed. The old men don't do it themselves. They sit in their chairs and push buttons and send young men, young innocent men who don't know any better, they send them to kill and be killed, and to blind and to maim and to be mutilated and to be blown to bits and to be mentally destroyed and to be torn to pieces in their mind and in their heart and in their soul, and just it's hell. It's living hell. And the old guys, so of course I'm mad at the old guys. I'm mad at people. I'm mad at people for all the sins they do. I'm mad at them for all the things they do to animals. I wish they would leave animals alone. There is so much atrocity, there's so much sin, there's so evil in the world. If we thought about it, we could go crazy. But yet we can't judge. Okay, so who and what is God? God is everywhere. God is in all things. Everything that exists is energy. Energy, slow down, becomes matter. If you think about Einstein's theory of relativity, Einstein, I've been studying that since I was 14, so don't think, you have to be a PhD to know Einstein's theory of relativity. In Einstein's theory of relativity, he says that when time is compressed, geez, it's been so long since I read it, but it's changes, time changes, clocks change, uh, things slow down, things get shorter or longer. Time gets shorter or longer according to the speed of light, or, it's all light. Like the speed of light, it changes. So energy, it depends where you're at, what your perception is. So in other dimensions, there is no time and space. When you die, you go to the other dimension. There is no time and space. In this dimension, we look at the galaxies, and the Hubble telescope has discovered that besides the Milky Way galaxy, there's another billion galaxies out there. So that draws me to the conclusion that the universe is infinite. If there's a billion, there's a billion more. And when you go past the billion, there's more billions. And past those billions, there's more billions. And a galaxy is, you can't even imagine. It's unimaginable. The size of a galaxy to us is unimaginable. And in the other dimension, it just goes on. So do not ever judge another person for their religion. An infinite God, there is, can be worshipped any which way. You can worship God any way you want, and it doesn't make it wrong or right. Religion is made for you, not you for religion. There is no such thing as an absolute, perfect, know-it-everything religion. None of the religions that I have ever seen or studied gave me all the answers. No, I was in Catholicism until there was nowhere else to go. I received every grace that they talk about, that every saint received. As far as I could tell, I received every grace of the Catholic Church that I knew about. And I moved on into yoga and Buddhism. And there I got more graces, different ones. Like non-duality. It's a different grace. Equality of consciousness. Different understandings, different conceptions. The concepts of the chakras, that doesn't exist in Christianity. Christians worship one guru, and I could see when I went into the Hinduism how the Christians, it's a great religion, Christianity. Jesus is a great, great avatar. However, the whole Christian concept is not really what Jesus was teaching. He was teaching that we all have God within us. Kingdom of God is within us. Don't you know ye are gods? He was a guru from the East. A guru. He was not, but Christians turned it into that Jesus is the one and only God, the Son of God. But all people who are like Jesus are sons and daughters of God. So, even Jesus said, St. Paul said, rather, no longer I live, but Christ in me. And so Jesus lives on, God lives on in us. God lives in us. So those people who ascend in holiness, they become God on earth. Some are born with the potential. They're already born holy, like Jesus was born holy. Buddha was probably born holy. Many of the saints are born holy. They're avatars. They already went to heaven and they came back as volunteers to help humanity. So they were born prodigies of spirituality. So who is God? Nobody knows, but we know the qualities of God, some of them anyway. But then God is all things to all people. When you look at the violence in nature, does that mean God is violent? God permits it, doesn't she? The animals, we kill others, kill animals to eat them. We are animals, by the way. And other animals kill animals to eat them, predators. Does that mean God is violent? You could say God allows violence, God creates violence. You could say that. God gives life and God takes it away. If God put an instinct into an animal to kill, then God is a killer. God did it. So it's not all sweet and mercy and goodness and like what we call the, you know, those pleasant qualities that God has. God also has some not so pleasant qualities. To us they seem unpleasant, but but nobody can judge the will of God. Nobody can explain God. Nobody can fully give the width, breadth, height, depth of God. Nobody can. Nobody can explain why God has created life the way God has. Nobody can. I certainly can't. To be continued.